Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into one of the most ambitious social experiments in, well, human history. We're going to explore a system that was designed to engineer a perfect society, and we're going to ask, what is the real price of that perfection?
So, let's just kick things off with this really tempting idea, right? It's one that has fascinated thinkers for decades. What if we could use science to design a flawless society, to actually eliminate all of its bugs, all of its glitches?
Okay, so where does an idea like this even come from? Well, it's got its roots in a really powerful psychological theory called behaviorism. It was championed by one of the 20th century's most influential, and let's be honest, controversial psychologists, B.F. Skinner. His core belief? It was simple: forget free will. He believed that if you can perfectly control the environment, you can perfectly control behavior.
And Skinner, he was so confident in this theory that he made this absolutely wild claim to the U.S. military. Now, it sounds like a joke, it really does, but here's the crazy part: he actually did it.
All right, so how on earth did this actually work? You're probably thinking it sounds impossible, but in a very real project from 1948 called Project Pigeon, Skinner put a bird inside the nose cone of a missile. He used simple conditioning, a little food pellet for every correct peck on a screen, and he trained it to recognize and tap at an image of a target. Those pecks were literally hooked up to the missile's fins, turning the pigeon into a living, breathing guidance system. It is pure science fiction, except it wasn't. It was a stunning proof of his theory.
And this is where the whole thing gets really, really ambitious. Skinner's argument was, hey, if you can teach a pigeon to guide a missile, you can for sure condition humans to be perfect citizens. He even wrote a novel about it called Walden Two, where he imagined this utopia built entirely on these principles, a world where crime and chaos were just engineered away through rewards and punishments.
For decades, this was all just a thought experiment, right? Something you'd read about in a book. But then, in 2014, one country decided to put Skinner's utopian dream to the test on a massive national scale. China launched its social credit system, a real-world experiment in mass social engineering.
So think of it like this. It's basically a giant real-life video game, and every single citizen has a score. Good behavior, volunteering, paying your bills on time, your score goes up. But bad behavior, anything from littering to, criticizing the government online, your score goes down. Every single action becomes a transaction.
So the big question is, how do they track all of this?
The answer is an absolutely mind-boggling network of surveillance. We are talking about an estimated 700 million cameras blanketing the country. That's not just a number, that's almost one camera for every two people. And these aren't just your regular security cameras, they're powered by incredibly advanced AI and facial recognition, creating this constant, real-time digital record of public life where absolutely nothing is ever forgotten. And believe me, the consequences here are terrifyingly real. A low score isn't just some number on a screen. It's a digital wall that can literally lock you out of society. In just 1 year, 22 million plane and train tickets were denied to people the system flagged as untrustworthy. Just imagine that. Imagine not being able to travel for work or to see your family, not because you committed a crime, but because of a score. It can also block you from getting a loan, a good job, or even just a fast internet connection.
But, there's always another side to the story. You have to ask, what's the argument for a system like this? Why would anyone want this? Well, the most powerful answer came during a global crisis that demanded speed and absolute control.
And the data here is, well, it's pretty stark. The difference in outcomes is just huge. While a lot of democracies were debating and struggling to coordinate, China's top-down centralized system just acted. It allowed for this swift, decisive response that, according to the official data, saved millions of lives.
And the secret weapon in all of this? It was something incredibly simple, something right on everyone's phone, a mandatory health app. It tracked your location data and assigned everyone a QR code. Green meant you were clear, you could travel, go into buildings. Red or yellow, immediate quarantine. It was an unbelievably efficient way to contain a virus.
So on the face of it, this looks like a huge win for public health, right? A perfect example of technology keeping people safe. But then, something happened in the Henan province that peeled back the curtain and showed what this system could really do. It revealed its hidden and much, much darker purpose.
And this is the pivot point. This is where you see the system's dual nature in crystal clear focus. The very same technology that was celebrated for protecting citizens from a virus could just as easily be used to imprison them. It proves that the price of perfect efficiency is, so often, freedom.
So get this. In 2022, a bunch of people lost their life savings because of a banking scandal. They planned a protest to demand their money back, but the authorities didn't need to send in riot police. All they did was flip a digital switch. They remotely changed the protesters' health codes to red, weaponizing that public health tool and turning it into a digital cage that stopped the protest before it could even start.
And that really brings us back to the big fundamental question here. And it's not just a question for China, it's for all of us, especially as our own lives get more and more digital. What is the ultimate price we are willing to pay for a perfectly orderly society?
This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? You've got two completely different ways of thinking about how a society should work. On the one hand, you've got the army parade, perfect, top-down synchronization. Every single move is dictated from above for the harmony of the whole. And then you've got the flock of birds. It's this beautiful, emergent order that comes from simple, individual rules. Harmony through free interaction, not obedience.
So, what's the real cost here? What's the trade-off? Well, in this relentless push for a flawless, predictable society, the very things that make us human, our ability to mess up, to be spontaneous, to be a little chaotic, they stop being seen as human traits. They become bugs in the system that need to be fixed.
There's an amazing episode of the show Black Mirror that just nails this feeling, this experience of living under a system like that. And it leaves you with this powerful, haunting question about freedom. When every single action is being scored and judged, are you ever really free to just be?
And so that's where we'll leave it. It really all comes down to this one question. In this constant tug-of-war between absolute safety and the freedom to be human, flaws and all, where do you draw the line? Is a perfect society truly worth the price of the human soul?